This is going to shock people, and please leave a comment below if you disagree. This is not a rut hunt. I like that sticker. What's going on, you guys? We're going to talk about Coues deer draw in Arizona, and the first thing I want to do is I want to dispel a very common myth about Coues deer hunting, Coues deer draw specific to Arizona. There is a draw. It is called the late season draw for Coues only tags, or it's listed in the Arizona Game and Fish draw regulations as whitetail, just so you know. So if anytime I say whitetail, there are no eastern whitetail in Arizona, period. There are no eastern whitetail. Every whitetail there is called a Coues deer, subspecies of whitetail. Okay, beyond that little tidbit, I want to talk about the late season Coues deer draw. The late season Coues deer hunt is the last 2 weeks of December. Okay, so it's typically give or take a couple days, December 15th through the end of December. This is going to shock people, and please leave a comment below if you disagree. This is not a rut hunt. This hunt is not a rut hunt. The trophy Coues deer draw the last 2 weeks of December is not a true rut Coues deer hunt. So I want to just be very clear that if you think you are going to draw a rut Coues deer tag in Arizona, you are not going to draw a rut bucks chasing a bunch of does hunt where there's just 7 bucks all over the place, big 100-inch bucks everywhere, chasing does everywhere. That's not, no, it's just not going to happen. The best chance of that happening is if the weather, it's weather dependent. If it really cools down and you get a cold spell during December, typically towards the end of December, and you've got that last couple day window and the moon is perfect and it's cold, you will 100% have bucks chasing does or with does. You'll have bucks staging with does. They're maybe not chasing them, but they're in. What bucks like to do before the rut actually kicks on is they will get and they'll come in to where the does hang out, and he will stage there. He will be there waiting for a doe to come in and heat. Also, what can happen is he will check every single day. He'll come in, check the does. You think it may look like rutting activity. It's not. He's checking these does. He'll come in, check them, hang out with them, gone. You may not see him for a couple of days. You may see him the next day doing the same thing. He's checking these does. They're not stupid. These bucks are not stupid. These does are not in heat. It is not a rut hunt. It can be a pre-rut hunt. Anybody that I've ever talked to, that's how I describe it. And then you have a couple days where bucks may be getting goofy and chasing does around. That's great. That's a bonus. So why draw one of these tags? So people, that's the next question. So if it's not a rut hunt, why would I draw it? Why would I waste 10 points on it? Not waste, but spend my 10 points on it. That's a good question. And here's my response. Typically is there's only 50 tags or less given on these hunts. So you really have a lot of hunt privacy. There's not a ton of people out there, as opposed to typically 300 to 500 hunters. You have very little hunting pressure. That's a huge, huge bonus. Just makes the hunt quality, it's just nicer when you're not competing with a ton of other people on public land. The weather can be awesome, especially in the southern areas, especially around Tucson and south of Tucson. All in that Phoenix, southern, it's great weather. The bucks are on their feet for 3 times as long as they would be during the normal season. So you have a lot more buck activity, period. They're up on their feet, they're feeding, the weather's really nice. It can be a pre-rut type deal. It can be like, hey, the bucks are getting together, they're fighting, they're getting in the does area. So you do find some does and these bucks are hanging out with them. They're not pushing them around, they're not doing anything crazy. The giant bucks may not be with them yet, but they're staging, they're moving around way more than they would on the previous normal general seasons. So those that my main three factors of why, what would encourage you or motivate you to draw a late season Coues tag. It's not that it's a rut tag, boom, bottom line, but it is the fact that you have way less hunting pressure. You have way better weather, and you do have some pre-rut, kind of potentially maybe a day or two of rutting type activity. Those three factors you will not find on any other hunt. So that's basically, guys, the Coues deer hunting late season in a nutshell. Some of those units on the Mogollon Rim can be really good. It's further north, it's colder, so the bucks can get kicked into rut a little bit earlier than they can on the Mexican border. Like, that is a reality. So the country is also a lot harder. It also is a lot colder. You could get totally snowed out. 27, 6A, 21, 22, 23. Those are the units that I'm talking about, guys. The Mogollon Rim that runs east-west along Arizona has a great Coues deer population. It also has trophy potential. You have a better chance of shooting a giant buck in some of those units than you would in some other units further south. That being said, the reason why you can do that is because the country is crazy. It's very rugged. The bucks can hide forever. It's hard glassing, and it's really weather centric. You could literally get 2 to 4 feet of snow on those late Coues deer hunts. So you have to know that about going into it. If you're a guy that has 12 points and you're like, I'm never going to draw an Arizona strip tag, what should I do? I want to hunt Coues deer. I want to shoot a giant Coues deer. I want to shoot a Coues deer in the rut. What's the best late season tag? Hold on. You need to understand what you're doing. You need to understand that there's no guarantee that you're going to shoot a big Coues deer on one of these late season hunts. It's not a true rifle hunt or a true rut rifle hunt. We don't have one of those. So just know what you're getting into. And there's a lot of sub factors that are embedded into those late season Coues deer hunts. So you even go further down the line and say, okay, what are the units that don't have an archery season going on at that time? Boom. So you weed a bunch of those units out. What are the units that potentially could get colder and potentially more rut activity? Boom. So there is a method to weeding out and getting the best Coues deer hunt together if you've got some points, but it's not going to be a rut hunt. And it can be, but it's not one of those things where you can put your finger on it. And the rut across the board is not... It's not by day, guys. These animals, I don't care if it's you're drawing an early archery unit 9 elk hunt. You can't, every year, you can't say, hey, the rut is the best on September 22nd. It's right in the middle of our hunt. Sometimes the rut's going off in September 15th, shuts down for a little bit, starts back up on October 2nd. You just don't know. And so it's all weather, moon, food, precipitation, all that, it does affect a rut, guys. What a lot of people don't understand is that precipitation allows for feed, allows for all that stuff, for them to be healthy. Not only does good precipitation and good food, lots of growth help the antler growth, but it also helps the animal. And when the animal's really healthy, a healthy animal will rut longer and harder than an animal that didn't get as much food, not as much water available. They're a little bit more in survival mode, so their rut activity is going to be lower. It's going to be more lunar centric. It's going to be more night oriented, where they're not burning the calories in the middle of the day. It's a calorie game for a lot of these areas. Same goes for deer. So weather and rainfall and feed and all the forest fires, there's a lot of factors that go into what makes certain rut years better than others. And so that's just kind of a broad stroke about Coues deer hunting, mule deer hunting, rut hunting elk in general. So I hope that helps. I hope this clarifies the late season trophy Coues deer hunt. I'm all about it. I'm all about saying, hey, you're not going to draw a mule deer tag? let's go hunt Coues deer. Let's try to shoot a 110-inch Coues deer. Like, I'm all about that. But I just want everyone to know, especially those guys like residents like myself, they're like, man, I'm gonna get that trophy. Know what you're getting into. Know when you show up on December 15th that you're just looking for a buck. When you don't see bucks chasing does, don't be surprised, because that's not the norm. Again, disclaimer, of course it can happen. Of course we can have rutting bucks. Of course the best time to hunt is typically the last 3 days of December. Of course the moon plays a factor in it. So yeah, all those things. But don't be shocked when you don't see any rut happen at all in that trophy season. But be thankful that the weather's better. Be thankful that there's not a ton of other hunters trying to push you around. And be thankful that the bucks are at least thinking about it. Hope this helped, guys. We're going to talk about Coues deer and all the other general tags here in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.